One more day of workouts here in Fort Myers. Jaron Duran and Alex Bregman. The pitchers, of course, been working out for more than a week. Tanner Houck and Garrett Whitlock. We've got the Red Sox reporting for duty one day before we line up and watch the first baseball of spring. Red Sox here at JetBlue Park tomorrow to take on Northeastern, but they will be on the field coming out in just moments to work out. Welcome, everybody. It's one more live edition of 310 The Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. Tom Carroll along with Lou Merlone. We're here on the big field today because tomorrow, Mike Lavin's Northeastern Huskies will roll out of that dugout, and we'll finally get to watch some baseball being played.
Oh, it's about time, right? It's going to feel nice. I tell you what, these guys are itching to get going, too. Even talking to the guys that are going to be throwing tomorrow night, they don't care if it's a college team or not. They're out there throwing the baseball. They know the eyes of the staff are going to be on them. A lot of these guys have worked on things in the offseason. Now it's time to see it kind of turn into onto the baseball field and see some of the results.
We're not going to see Alex Bregman or Trevor Story or Rafael Devers in that game tomorrow. The difference from maybe previous years is you're going to see Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell. You're going to see guys who could make the team this camp or be knocking on the door real soon afterwards.
Yeah, it's an added plus to the whole camp. Like last year we saw those guys, Marcelo and Anthony, came up for a game or two on the road. Now we get them every day. You know, like we saw Rafaela last year and Abreu last year. They're going to get 50 at-bats. They're going to play a ton. And we're going to have a good seat to watch it all and just see these guys on a regular basis. I've seen them take BP. I've seen some videos of them, but I'm really looking forward to watching them play each and every day.
Watching Cedar Rafaela out on the field right now, you know, you just talk about how things change in a year in the world of baseball, right? A year ago, he was a prospect.
Yeah.
We got a little glimpse of him at the end of 23. Now we're sitting here. He signed the contract extension. He was one of the top rookies in baseball, and the only question is he going to play the whole season at center field?
Yeah, and he learned a lot last year. That's what you do your rookie year. You find out. You come up here, it's the battle from day one. It's how do I survive from day one? He got comfortable midway through, but I think just got tired. You mentioned he played a lot of games last year. In September, he got tired. So this year, now all of a sudden, you got an off season, right? And you're like, okay, these are the things I need to work on, right? The swing decisions, shortening up your swing, being more the center of the field as opposed to dead pull. And then physically, how do I get stronger to withstand 162 games? These are things you learn after your first year in the league, and I'm excited to see what he looks like.
We're going to talk a lot about the outfield today. We did that yesterday, but really going to dig into Rob Refsnyder's role on this team as a leader, a guy who one of the top pinch hitters in all of baseball last year and can absolutely rake against left-handed pitching. But the news today is what will happen starting tomorrow. The games taking over here at JetBlue Park. Officially, the Grapefruit League doesn't begin until Saturday for the Red Sox, but it'll be baseball here tomorrow. The exhibition game against Northeastern. Brian Van Bell will take the mound, guy who was shot up through the system a couple years ago, pitched well for Portland last year, had a good season with the Woo Sox, so he gets the ball. Quinn Priester, who made his one and only start for the Red Sox last year in the season finale against the Rays, will face the Rays up in Port Charlotte as we travel up for a road game to begin Grapefruit League, and then all eyes on Garrett Crochet Sunday as the Toronto Blue Jays come to town.
Yeah, and you know, the best part, these guys are coming in throwing 2 innings already. You know, they're like a turn ahead in spring training. It used to be you come in, you give me that 1 inning, take it to the house. Now these guys are already 2 innings. And the exciting thing, too, as far as the kids here tomorrow night, they're going to play 5. They're talking about right out of the gate, what was it, their sports science?
Yes.
Told Alex Core, no need to play 2 or 3, just get right into it. So these guys during camp, even early, all the starters, they're going to play 5 innings. So they're going to get 2 at-bats, sometimes 3.
Was not like that back in your day. Nomar would play an inning or 2, and then you'd be ready to take over.
Well, it was like that for me. I used to love that in camp, right? Nomar and these guys, Valentin, they can only play an inning or 2. We don't want to tire them out. All right, Lou, you're going in the 3rd. For how long? The rest of the game. They'd play me 5 or 6 out of the gate. They don't care about me breaking down. They care about the stars breaking down.
Nobody worried about you playing too many innings, no doubt about that. It'll be Quinn Priester on the mound for the first Grapefruit League game. Again, that's Saturday up at Port Charlotte, the spring training home of the Tampa Bay Rays. The Red Sox acquired him last year right before the trade deadline. A 1-for-1 swap. Wasn't about last year. It was really about a better fit for each organization. Nick York, former first-round draft pick, the infielder, kind of blocked because of all the infield talent in Boston. And Quinn Priester, first-round pick of the Pirates, kind of blocked because of all the young pitching talent in Pittsburgh. So they did the swap. Eventually, Priester got a start in with the Red Sox. Now he'll make the start on Saturday. I spoke with him this morning about his offseason and his hopes for 2025.
Yeah, really good offseason. Did a lot of eating, a lot of working out, and now ready to start playing again.
I know that you talked about it when you first got here and last year. One of your goals is to add a little bit of velo. That comes with the body, right? The strength that can lead to that?
Yeah, definitely. When you add the mass and some muscle that, allows you to not really think about the velo and then, just kind of starts to build. And definitely with the help of Bales and some of the guys, Dan DeLucia and Junis and AAA, Holty now, we're going to keep working towards, building that because it's only going to help.
Guys used to show up in camp and they'd say, oh, it's coming to my hand. But you guys throw so much in the offseason. Do you see the results sort of in real time, or is it when you get here with this group that you really start to see the results of it?
Yeah, I think ultimately, it's great to see the results, whether it's a TrackMan or whatever data analyzing tool that we use. But ultimately what matters is when the hitter steps in the box. So I'm excited to get into games here soon and start to see the results where they matter, which is on the field.
Had a whirlwind last year, and you got that start at the end for the Red Sox. What did it mean to get one in with the big club before you went off in the offseason?
It was really cool to be able to pitch at Fenway, to pitch in front of the fans in Boston, and to really experience, what that's going to be like this year. And certainly, towards the end of the game, well, it was the end of the year where the stakes weren't as high. It just made me real excited to pitch in games at Fenway when the stakes are high. And I think it's great to kind of get to know the team, get to know the area a little bit. But really excited for this year. I think it just built a lot of excitement.
You were around the second half in the organization. You get here this spring. They've added some people, both on the pitching side. Bregman comes in at the end. Can you feel sort of a different level of expectations in this clubhouse?
Yeah, definitely not being in an organization. Just for my first time being in this organization, it's really cool with having those expectations because you know that you're doing a lot of things right. So having those guys are going to make our team great, and I just hope to be a part of that.
You get to go Saturday up at Port Charlotte. Nice to get that one early, to get in there and get the rhythm going.
Yeah, definitely. You may as well get it going as early as you can. So I'm really excited, like I said, to get back on the field, start to see that work come in where it matters, and start to work to make this team.
So there he is, the Grapefruit League opening day starter. Quinn Priester throwing just a few minutes ago. Again, a guy who came back bigger, stronger, but velo's the key, right? You talk to people around this organization, even people with the Pirates will tell you, he's a different guy when that fastball is ticking upwards.
Yeah, when you talk about pitching with this organization now, you can't look at the traditional numbers because he struggled ERA-wise, right, when he was at Pittsburgh and even in AAA. For them, it's more about hitting their marks, hitting their metrics, right, improving shape of pitches. And now it's almost like this lab is almost complete, and let's see what it looks like because he's added 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. That velocity that was once 92, 93 is hoping to be 95, 96. It's still got that power sinker. He came over to the Red Sox, and like many people, kind of doubled the slider usage, doubled the changeup usage, and it was really effective for him. So I think he's excited to come in here and show that a hard offseason, kind of maybe that velocity, another uptick, but they're really high on him.
The organization is excited about the pitching on two fronts. They're excited about the top of the rotation additions, the Crochets, the Buellers, the Giolito returning, but they're really excited about the depth. Richard Fitz was a guy who got a lot of attention last year, pitched really well when he came up with the Sox at the end. Cooper Criswell had a great year, breakthrough season for him. Now Priester in that mix as well, so they really feel for the first time in a few years, you're talking 7-8 starters deep.
Yeah, and gone are the years where, our 6 starters out in the bullpen, like throwing 2 innings, throwing 3, so a starter goes down. But the problem with that is the guy's been throwing 2 innings as a reliever. He's got to ramp it up, right? We've seen it for 2 or 3 years. Somebody coming out of the pen, spot start, maybe giving you 3, and then within 3 or 4 weeks, maybe he's giving you 5 or 6. You don't need to do that anymore. You keep the guy that's effective out in the bullpen. You keep him there, a guy like Whitlock. Don't bring him into this rotation. You don't have to. Quinn Priester, Cooper Criswell, Richard Fitz. You've got these guys now to just step in if something goes down for a short period of time and be fine.
And we're already seeing it tested, right? Because we know Cutter Crawford's behind with the knee. We know Brian Bale's a little behind with the shoulder. These guys might get leaned on. You've got Bueller and Giolito. Some of these guys are still coming back from injury. There's no guarantee that they won't have to pull the brakes, pump the brakes, and pull them back a little bit.
There's that fine line of you talk about it's not about April, it's about September. These guys plan on playing in October. So if people don't break camp and healthy, I'd rather them stick around and be on the IL for a while until they're ready. And, the counter to that is, I get it. Every game counts, right? You don't want to lose games in April, they can come back to bite you. The reality is you want to be strong in September. You want to be strong in October. So if you got to hold a guy back, for 3 weeks, even a month in April, I think you do it.
Alex Cora leading his team through the workouts. It's the final day of just workouts. The workouts will continue, of course, as the Grapefruit League games get going. But the entire team, for the most part, position players, infield and outfield, be coming out here in the stadium as they roll in right now. They'll be working up behind us as we roll on. We're going to take a break, come back, talk about the outfield as the Red Sox had a really good defensive season in the outfield in 2024. Wilyer Abreu winning a Gold Glove. Jaron Duran, a finalist for the Gold Glove. And we'll hear from the forgotten man sometimes, Rob Refsnyder, just quietly doing his job as one of the glue guys, part of the leadership group of this Red Sox clubhouse. That's next as we roll on with 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. Infielders here in the stadium for the workout. Infielders, too, they're all together today, so we should have some spirited defensive work going on behind us. Rob Refsnyder back for another season with the Red Sox. 4 years now with the organization. That'll be the most since he first came up with the Yankees. This guy bounced around for a long time, found a home in Boston.
Yeah, and a leader, really, in this club. I mean, it's not easy to be a part-time player, utility kind of guy, and be a leader like Rob Refsnyder is, and he 100% is. I mean, this is a guy that goes about his business. He's a professional. He's a great human being, and he still crushes lefties. OPS, mid-900s last year against lefties. When a lefty's on the mound, he's not hitting 7th or 8th. He's hitting leadoff. He's hitting 3rd a lot of times. This guy's very important to this offense.
I spoke with him about his role on the team, about the expectations, and kind of about that middle class in baseball. Those guys getting squeezed out a lot now. Here's what Rob Refsnyder had to say this morning in the clubhouse.
Yeah, camp's going well. Got here about a week early, just tie up some loose ends, get the body right. It's good. I mean, it's an exciting camp. Some big names that we brought in, and it's been exciting. Got some really big prospects here, so it's a mix of old and new, and it's really exciting, honestly, seeing these young guys, what they can do. Obviously highly touted, but I think in the clubhouse they've been amazing and really, really special. Looking forward to seeing them in camp.
Last year you'd sort of kicked around the idea that maybe I'm ready to hang it up. Well, how did that play out? Was it during the season when you realized there's more here, I'm not done yet, or what was that process for you?
Yeah, it kind of blew up, but it was just a simple conversation this year. I had the team option, so I didn't know if they were going to pick it up or not, and then, it was more like if they didn't pick it up, kind of reassess the future, kind of sit down with the family and kind of figure things out, but thankfully they picked it up. I love Boston. My family does too. My kids love it, so I'm just super thankful to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting it going. It feels like we've been here forever, and games haven't even started yet.
AB gets here, and obviously he's been so good and so accomplished. His numbers against lefties have come down over the last couple of years. Some of the guys are saying and he already had a conversation, you've been so good against lefties. You've been around this game a long time. Are there things you think you can help even the guy like that who's had so much success that you might see and be able to point out to a new teammate?
Not really. If we're going to be honest, we have had some conversations. Interesting enough, I was there for his debut. So I remember being in Houston for that debut, and I remember the crowd going crazy when his name got announced. But he's just such an amazing ball player, and just being around him for a week or so, it's kind of exciting just to see his process, just how he talks about the information that we're giving. He's talked to pitchers about their pitch shapes and everything like that. He's just seamlessly came into our clubhouse, it seems like, and just fit in really, really well. And he's just so smart, and he works extremely hard. And, he's in the 30s too, I think. So it's nice to have another guy in the 30s. We have had some conversations, and I was like, as long as you tell me everything about how to approach some right-handers and things like that. And we've already had a couple good conversations, but honestly, no, just learning his cues and things, when he's going well, what gets him ticking and things like that. I think it's going to help because, me, I'm not playing as much as some of the starters and things like that. So it helps knowing the guy's cues what he likes feeling when he's going well, so I can always help out in that way.
See, finally, just your role in this game is kind of, Lou and I have talked a lot about this. The glue guys, the sort of middle class of baseball, they're kind of getting squeezed out, right? There's a lot of $100 million contracts and a lot of minimum guys. No, but there's such a value to it. You know what I mean? Like, do you see that? Like, I know you're not a guy who's going to thump your chest and talk about yourself, but the guys like that. We had Brock Holt for a long time. Was a really important guy on this team. Teams usually have those glue guys kind of in the middle, but it feels like the structure of baseball is getting away from that. You have phenoms coming up who are 20 years old and guys making $250 million. That middle class is important to a clubhouse, isn't it? I mean, again, I'm not asking you to talk about yourself, but just that role of a guy who's been through a lot, who can share some of the experience and still help a team.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You kind of see the ebbs and flows of like the roster construction. I hate that word, but we throw it around a lot during this time, especially. But you see the ebbs and flows of it. Some years it seems like a lot of teams go with the younger players, and then sometimes you see a team bring in. I think last year you saw Kansas City Royals bring in a ton of veterans and things like that. So I don't know how people value it and things like that, but I remember when I was coming up, just having guys. I've talked about him a couple times. Guys like Steve Pearce when I was younger, just when I was just trying to like survive in the big leagues, it felt like, or figure out my swing, or figure out what I was doing day to day. Having guys like Steve was just like, man, just so valuable to me as a young guy, and he took time out of his his life and his day to just kind of help me like go in the right direction, it felt like. So I just remember guys like that who had a big impact early on in my career, and I think I just remember how much guys like that really, like, I don't even know if he knew how much he helped me, but I try to do that as well. If guys are grinding on the field or anything like that, or don't feel as comfortable as they should, you just try to help them as much as possible.
Rob Refsnyder working his way over. I said at some point in the last year or two, if you don't like Rob Refsnyder, you don't like baseball. Because this guy is what's great about the game. He has maximized his talent. He's found a way to make himself better even as he gets older. And as I said to him, that role he plays coming off the bench, leadership in the clubhouse, it's valuable to a good team.
Yeah, it is, because every good team has it. So it has to be, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, it's not just won by a bunch of rookies, or just stars. It always seems to be that middle guy. Justin Turner now is another one, right? We saw the kind of impact he has here, but it's and it wasn't an easy journey for Rob. This is a guy, a fifth-round pick years ago. He's tried to find his home, as he said, with the Yankees. Didn't work. Tampa, Toronto, has been around a little bit, Texas, and now here he's really finding a nice home.
One of the things he said, and you heard in that interview, is that Bregman comes in is really open to listening to guys. He's not a guy who's coming and saying, here's how you got to do it. So how can I make myself better? He's all about winning. In this clubhouse, he said this year, from that core group of young prospects, being willing to talk to the veterans, the veterans willing to listen. There's a really good communication vibe in this clubhouse.
Yeah, and listen, Alex Bregman's a smart man, because he goes right to Rob Refsnyder, a guy that's owned lefties the last 3 years, and talks. And that's the beauty of this game. It's the beauty of a guy like Alex Bregman. No matter who you are, someone does something better than you. In this game, whether it is they hit off speed better, they turn on a fastball better, they're better to their right in the field, they're left. Somebody, no matter how good you are, somebody does something better than you. And Alex Bregman's seeking that guy out. I mean, Bregman used to crush lefties.
So let's look at it. It's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. If you take a look at his last 3 seasons, those numbers against lefty, batting average, OPS, they have come down. This guy used to really crush lefties. Now he's been a much better hitter against righties. What can you do to improve on that?
Yeah, and I think it's something that Alex is kind of identifying. And again, talking with guys like Refsnyder. Romy Gonzalez is another guy that he talked to, given what he did, and the hitting coaches. And I was talking to Rob a little bit about it, and sometimes it's just direction. We know the way Alex, sometimes you just feel comfortable against righties. He's a guy that likes the ball close to him. His nice short stroke, lift the ball in the air, maybe the other way, get line drives. But with lefties, he kind of felt a little separated. Maybe he's got to change the direction, rather than, say, a left center approach, a right center approach. Stay on ball, stay back a little bit longer. So there's no question in my mind the guy's a great hitter. I know what the last 3 numbers look like. But in talking the game, which is what he does so well with guys and something just clicks. They just talk about certain drills that they do. This is what I do to stay on lefties more. Like, again, no matter how good you are, you can learn something from anybody.
Looking at Bregman defensively right behind us as he goes working. with the third baseman here today. It is going to be interesting because tomorrow we're going to watch Christian Campbell at second base.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We're going to watch Marcelo Meyer at shortstop. I think Roman Anthony's out in left. We're going to watch those young guys come together. But it's really going to be the start of a spring of keeping a very close eye on Christian Campbell, because what he does at second will directly impact where Bregman plays this year.
Yeah, I've heard he's a very quick learner, okay, and this is obviously why he skyrocketed. But we have to keep in mind he has played 3 seasons of baseball above high school. Played 1 year at Georgia Tech after redshirt, was drafted, 2 years in the minors. That is 49 starts at second base. Is he a finished product? Absolutely not. Are there things he needs to work on? 100% there are. You know, footwork, double play. He's got to clean some things up. So the question is, after watching him for 5 weeks, do they sit there and say, okay, he's ready, he's cleaned up enough? You know, or is it one of those, he needs a few more games? You know, because that position at second base, extremely important, more so than third, contrary to popular belief, because you got to turn a double play.
All right, back in the outfield, again, a breakthrough season for several guys out there, including Wilyer Abreu. We sat here a year ago not knowing what his role was going to be on this team. When it's all said and done, he wins the Gold Glove and was second in American League Rookie WAR, according to Baseball Reference. One of the best arms in the game, and you want that in right field. And now he's back to try to build on that and try to be a guy who gets to play even more. Played 132 games last year, wants to start more, get in there more against lefties. Here's Wilyer Abreu earlier today.
Yeah, that's not something that I was really worried about. It's not something that I think a lot about. I think it's just rumors at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you know, if they were going to make a move, they would be the first to tell me. So I'm just focused on what I can do, what I can control, doing my work. But yeah, I don't pay attention to that.
Fenway's one of the hardest right fields to play, and you want to go above there. What is the most difficult part of playing right field at Fenway that you found last year?
No, obviamente las dimensiones. Eso es lo más difícil. Obviamente es un right field demasiado grande, con mucho espacio, que hay que tomar los ángulos correctos para poder tener buenos resultados en el right field, pero los ángulos es lo más difícil de jugar en el Fenway.
Yeah, the dimensions of the park are really challenging. You know, the angles that you have to take are things that you have to, you know, be clear on what those angles are. And I would say that's probably the most difficult thing, is just the dimensions and the angles to get to certain balls.
Last year you had a lot of young players have breakthrough years. You and Jaron and Rafaela. They've added Bregman, they've added some pitching. Does it feel different this spring? Does this team have higher expectations for the season?
Bueno, creo que con las nuevas adiciones que hemos tenido, obviamente el equipo se ve mucho mejor. Creo que eso es bueno para nosotros, para el equipo, y creo que para los fans también.
Yeah, I think with the additions that we made, we're a much better team. I think it's great for us. It's great for the fans, and I think it's going to be a good year.
All right, that's Wilyer Abreu. Just goes to show you how much can change in a year, right? We didn't know what to expect from him a year ago. Now you're penciling him in as your everyday right fielder.
Gold Glove winner, and it wasn't even close. You know, early on, I'd say the first month of the season, he looked like a rookie. You know, overcharging balls. Remember, he made a few errors just charging balls, maybe not getting good hops. Or when he was throwing the baseball, he was throwing it all over the diamond, you know, not hitting the cutoff guy because he wanted to throw the guy out first to third. But you know what? That wasn't the right throw. Get the ball into second base. Sometimes what you want is different than what you should do. You know, and I think he started to slow the game down. He worked with Huddy a lot in the outfield and became a Gold Glove right fielder, and he was fantastic out there. You went from Verdugo to Abreu and didn't skip a beat.
98th percentile in arm strength.
Fantastic.
I mean, I grew up watching Dwight Evans out in right field, right? And that arm kept a lot of guys in check. At Fenway Park, that's really important because you can easily not just throw guys out, but keep them from taking that extra base.
Yeah, and he plays it the right way, too. He's got a little trot Nix in him, too. Like, he will run through a wall if he has to try to make that catch out in right field. It's fun to watch.
All right, but the rain's picking up a little bit here.
Yeah,
this is karma. What you're watching is karma, because I've been talking all week about how nice it is here.
Yeah.
Now you people are shoveling back home.
Listen, I'm not going to let the rain. Still, this is my vibe, right? We're going sunglasses. I don't care if it's raining. I'll go sunglasses in the rain.
It's Florida Lou, along with me. We will come back. Going to hear from Trevor Story. Talk about the leadership on this team. He's front and center right there with Alex Bregman. The shortstop of the Red Sox, Trevor Story. You'll hear that next on 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. Trevor Story getting ready for the season, says he is fully healthy. Remember last year started off so well. In fact, here at spring training last year, hit 380 in 19 games. Rode that into the start of the season, then April 5th injured the shoulder in Anaheim. Missed 133 games. Most people thought he was done for the year, but he came back. The rehab started in September, and he started 18 of Boston's last 21 games as the shortstop. He joined us on Red Sox from Fort Myers and talked about the importance of getting back before the end of last year.
Yeah, it was huge. Like you said, the injury was brutal, and just a lot of emotions, and I think being able to come back there at the end of the year was a huge thing for me, because, I got to do a lot of the first things, get those out of the way, first dive, first swing and miss, just kind of the things that, exposed the left shoulder, and I was able to play pretty well too. So that was, a big bonus for me going into the offseason. Just create that momentum, and I think the confidence comes with that too.
That injury was tough to watch, because I know in talking to you last year, I know where your mindset was, right? The first couple of years there were some injuries, and it was just, I want to be out in the field. I want to show these people how I can help. And then you have the injury. Are you still in that same mind space as far as like what this year means to you?
No doubt. It's, this game is, I love it so much, and I love the opportunity to play. I never take that for granted. And I think, you can get stripped down out there, man, whether it's physically, mentally. Obviously, the last 3 years have been a real challenge physically. So I think where I have made a lot of strides and a lot of growth is the mental side. Because, especially that injury last year, I had to go to a certain place to be able to come back the way I wanted to. And, without the injury, I might not have that same mindset. No one wants to get hurt, but the perspective that I keep, man, is definitely that. Like, I'm not going to play the woe is me. I felt you have to let the grieving process happen a little bit, and you guys could see some of that, to where it was emotional and there's a lot going on, Mm-hmm. But I feel like I really responded well there at the end, and it's going to serve me well going forward.
You walk into this clubhouse, there's Garrett Crochet, there's Walker Buehler, there's Aroldis Chapman, here comes Alex Bregman. How exciting is it to see what this team did in the offseason, and now what the expectations are to bring playoff baseball back to Boston?
It's huge, man. I think, as I signed here, that's what you envision, I think the Boston Red Sox, I felt like the whole offseason it was, if it was target or if it was free agent targets or it was trade speculation, the Sox were, connected to everybody. And I feel like that's the way it's always been, and, maybe not so much the past 3 years. So it was super refreshing to see that. And, I mean, it just creates an expectation, but I think the standard that we set, that AC sets, the front office sets, we'll be able to play up to those. And I think, more talent is always a good thing and a good problem to have.
I always say there's a calmness to the infield when you're at short. And being an infielder, playing against a guy that catches the ball the way you do, you make it look routine. I feed off that as well. When you weren't there was a little bit of panic. Now, nobody knows where Alex Bregman is going to play, whether he's to your left, to your right. He brings that same calmness as well, right, across that infield?
He definitely does. I mean, he's a Gold Glover, a guy that's played a lot of different positions. He's a shortstop in LSU. We were joking the other day because I was committed to LSU, and I was like, who do you think would have played short? And so that was a good little banter there. But
what'd you figure out? Who was going to play short?
I mean, we both said ourselves, as you would expect. But he brings a stability, and it's been no secret the past 3 years, the infield defense hasn't been good. And, you know, as you know, sort of the captain and the shortstop of the infield, I take a lot of pride in that. And it's something that, you know, we need some health, obviously, but the addition of AB helps a lot too.
There's a lot of young talent on this team, and Lou and I have talked a lot about having adults in the room, right? Or more importantly, adults in the cage. And when you went down last year, there wasn't clearly as much of that. Having another guy like AB here, having Bregman alongside, you know, you're having a conversation over there, he's talking to someone over there, Refsnyder's in the dugout talking to someone. What does that mean to the hitting group as a group?
It's been incredible so far. The best I've seen it in the 3 or 4 years I've been here. So, you know, it's tough last year or the years that, you know, if you're hurt, you know, obviously you're not around as much and you're not, you know, in the fire with the boys competing every night. So some things just don't land as well. And I think, you know, just seeing the cage talk, the ball talk, you know, everyone's in and everyone's kind of locked in on each other's routine and different ways we can help each other, different cues. And, you know, I feel like we've gotten even better since AB's got here, and that's a tribute to him and just kind of the baseball rat that he is.
When you are out there short every day, you know, whether it's AB or one of the young kids, how important is it? Because I always talk about that communication up the middle. In your own words, how important is it to kind of have that one guy that everybody knows where they want the ball? You know his range, he knows your range.
It's crucial. The chemistry is something that gets overlooked a lot, and you know, it's a little tougher when, you know, there's a revolving door at different spots of the infield, just because I feel like we move and flow as a unit, and that communication is huge. You know, at some point, you know, I feel like my days in Colorado, we would just kind of have certain looks, and we were always scanning each other to see where we're at, the positioning, the spacing that each other has is, you know, it's all personal. So only time on the field and time on the practice field is where you can find that. So it's going to be big, and I think I'm happy about, you know, wherever everybody plays, that we're going to have a lot more stability.
You faced Garrett Crochet yesterday, sitting 98 in February. Struck out, the first 5, but you stood up for everybody, and you got a hold of one. What's it like facing a guy like that who's throwing like that this early in camp?
It's awesome, man. It's encouraging. You know, he brings a certain presence about him on the mound. I mean, you look out there, he looks like he's 12 feet tall. And then he's like super downhill down the mound. So there's an aggression to it. And the way I described it, you know, his pitchers are angry. You know, that they feel like they can kind of knock the bat out of your hand a little bit. But he sets the tone, man, and he's our ace. He's obviously coming in with that mindset, and he's letting it rip.
When you see guys like.
Good stuff from Trevor Story, as always, joining us yesterday in Red Sox at Fort Myers. We'll come back and wrap up this edition of 3:10 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers, next. Final day of workouts for the Red Sox before baseball begins here in Fort Myers. Jaron Duran getting in his work. He will be joining us tonight. Hope you can join us. Red Sox in Fort Myers coming your way at 6:30. Duran will talk about his impressive season, 160 games last season for the Red Sox, MVP of the All-Star Game, and back to be even better in 2025. We'll come back with that tonight at 6:30, but for now, for Lou Merlone, our crew down here in Florida, and everyone working behind the scenes up north, I'm Tom Karen. Thanks so much for catching this edition of 3:10 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We'll see you again next time.